Lord, we thank you for this blessed opportunity to have you fully in our lives, physically, mentally, spiritually. I pray, Lord, that you give me the words that you want. Give it to your faithful children who are gathered here together. This is our Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. I'd like to take out one of the Bibles and read right over page 906. In the Gospel of our Lord that was proclaimed by the Holy Evangelist St. Luke, the 15th chapter, the 17th verse reads, "And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough to eat and to spare, and I perish with hunger? فرجع إلى نفسه وقال كم من أجير لأبي يفضل عنه الخبز وأنا أهلك جمعان." In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I love the story of the prodigal son for many reasons, but what do you think made the prodigal son, the other one that went away and kind of blew all the money and crazy riotous living? What do you think, if I can answer you, Catherine, what do you think brought him to his senses? Was, he left, went off, spent all the money, he's a great parent. What do you think brought him to his senses?
Well, I imagine Jesus put it in his mind, but memories of his life and what he really had and the appreciative love that was there and what he doesn't have now.
When I went to law school, they told us, you don't have the exact answer, keep writing and you'll come to something correct. And that was good. But there was something more to eat that happened to him. He was hungry. He was hungry. His extreme need is what brought him to his senses, and that's what's happening in America. During the pandemic, or the worst of the pandemic, many people spent almost a year at home. And then when the restrictions eased up, they went out, and especially a lot of the young people, they said, is that all there is? Is this what we're going to go back to what we did before? That need for God. We, in our society, are getting further and further away from God. We are. We're not even allowed to say God. In fact, I can go back over 50 years ago when I was in New Jersey before I became a priest and I was teaching school. And I taught in a Roman Catholic school. And someone said to me, why are you teaching in a Roman Catholic school instead of a public school? This is back in 1972, 50 years ago. I said, because I don't want somebody to throw me in jail for saying Jesus Christ in the public school. This is 50 years ago. So what is it today? Words start to say anything. In fact, if you are listening to the television, something live, and you actually hear them say God, it's like, oh my God, they said God. We can't talk about God because our society has gotten so far away from God. So many people, when they hit the spiritual bottom, come to their spiritual senses and look for their home. It's love for all God's children. The church draws them home. Again, almost 50 years ago, the late Metropolitan Philip, God rest his soul, received into the communion of the Antiochian Orthodox Church the evangelical Orthodox Christians. These were people that all came from fundamentalist Protestant backgrounds. And they realized that the true church, the church of the New Testament, was the Orthodox Church. And they wanted to become the Orthodox Church. They first went to one jurisdiction in America, and they told they had to learn a foreign language. They went to another jurisdiction in America, and they were very suspicious of them. Who are these people? They're all Americans. They came to the Antiochian Church. At that time, the late Patriarch Elias IV of thrice blessed memory was visiting this country, and he was in California at a convention, and he met with these people. And when they left, he turned to the Metropolitan. He said, you must bring these people to the Orthodox Church. And Metropolitan Philip was very, very strong about saying, America, come home. America, come home. But if we want America to come home, we have to use, number one, the language of America, which predominantly is English, which is why the Antiochian Church in America, back in 1938, began translating all of the books from the Greek and the Arabic and Slavonic into English. Because we people to come home, they have to be able to understand what the church is saying. This is why we do some other languages in this church. The only other language that we do in this church, because people may not understand English, truly happens to be Arabic. Because we have people that may not understand English. We may have some Russian people that don't understand English, but my Russian is not, my Slavic is not that good. When we do Slavic, or we do Spanish, or we do Greek, or we do Romanian, that's just to let those people know that we love them and this is their church was and want them to be part of us. But we use predominantly English. Just this past week, I think it was Lydia or Sister Mary, I'm not sure, but she said to me, they said to me, is the service in English? I said, it's almost all in English. Whatever we do in the language, we do except for a couple of hymns, we do it in English. So when we return to America, come home, we have to not only speak the language. There's something else we have to speak. Besides the language, we have to understand who we're dealing with. Who are we dealing with? If we want young people, and this year, the Assembly of Orthodox Bishops has declared this the year of the youth. They want to reach out to the youth. How do we reach out to the youth? What's your first name? Do you know what Twitter is? Do you? Do you know what texting is? Texting. And God, you bring this so well. God bless you. God bless this man. I'm not going to use that. Do you know what Twitter is? Snapchat? TikTok? I have no idea what these things are. I mean, I know something about Twitter because the last president was always on Twitter. But if you ask me about Snapchat, TikTok, I didn't even know. What's that game that I told you one time? Candy something? Candy Crush. I told you before. I don't even know what Candy Crush is. Put your hand in your Candy Crush. So help me God, I thought it was candy. I really didn't think it was candy. I asked the people, what flavor is it? They said, what? I said, what flavor is Candy Crush? It's called candy. Is that such a wonderful question? So if we want to reach out to the people of America and to our own, when I say our own people, the other day someone was talking and said, and there is truth to it, is that converts are the most dedicated. But you see, there's two kinds of converts. There's two kinds of converts. There's a Gene Bass kind that came from an unorthodox background to the Orthodox Church. All right? And there's, maybe, I'm going to find it in my friend, Edwin, who was raised in the Orthodox Church. The first convert comes from outside, sees the Orthodox Church, and then become very, very enamored and want to join it. The other one who was raised in the Orthodox Church but never really got turned on to it. The people that were raised in church, more like I was born and baptized when I was 40 days old, and I've always been in the Orthodox Church. But I will tell you, even I, who am blessed to be a priest, am a convert. I was not always turned on to the Orthodox Church. I wasn't. I went to church because my mother made me go to church. My mother never, I love her generation. I don't think I remember. Her generation where the parents asked their children. You know something? I don't know my mother asked me anything. My mother said, get up, get dressed, we're going to church. Because maybe if she said she wanted to go to church, I might have said, no, I don't want to. But your generation, you have to reverse me. You perhaps have to answer it. You should. My mother, you should have known my mother. And my mother was born in America. The point I'm bringing out is that if we raise our children, that everything is their decision, we will raise a generation of people that don't make any decisions. That's what we're going to raise this country. A generation of people that are always looking down at their phone and don't know how or don't want to or afraid to make any decision. So that time in my life, until I was 18 years old, I had to go to church every Sunday. And when I was 18 years old, you think you're free, you can do whatever you want to do. And I told my mother I wasn't going to go to church anymore. And through the grace of God, because I'm from Brooklyn, New York, We have 2 Ethiopian churches in Brooklyn. And the Lord took me, we had a summer home in the mountains in Pennsylvania. The Lord took me to another Ethiopian church in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And that's where I found the Orthodox Church. That was where I converted actively in the Orthodox Church. And that, I never looked back. That was it for me. So we want people to come here to talk to them. People say that we have a web page. I don't really get into the web page. And I want to tell you, the reason I don't get into the web page and the reason I don't use Twitter, honestly, none of you go on, I can go on Twitter. I don't have time for Twitter. I really don't. I don't have time. I mean, I'm barely able to get what the text. I'm one of the few people that will know that when people call, I actually answer the phone. Most people don't even answer the phone anymore. They want to check it out. Who do you think it is? ISIS? Answer the phone already. What's the worst thing you can do? You might have somebody there that needs you to answer the phone. So if we want America, if we want even our children, if we look at these beautiful children, if we want these children to come to church, and it's long, it is long. Now you're going to ask you questions, okay? Be honest, okay? Ask you honest questions, be honest, okay? Honesty. Was church long today for you? Be honest.
A little bit long.
Of course it was. Of course it was. It wasn't short. Why? Do you play video games? You know what screen time is? How much time would you say you're on screen time usually every day? Honestly.
6 hours.
How?
6.
Did you say 6 hours? This wasn't even 2 hours. No, he's honest. It was long to him. Why? Why is 6 hours not long to him and people for screen time? Because why? They're enjoying it and they understand it. All right? You come here and say, what is that? I don't know what's going on here. So 2 hours here becomes like 20 hours because you're not really getting what you should be getting out of it. Last Sunday it was raining a lot. A lot more of you showed up in church. I was happy to see them. But if you ask this lady, she leads the choir and does a lot of things. But if you ask her, why does she come every single Sunday? Why would you say? You know it's going to be about 2 hours, right? Why do you come every single Sunday?
I want to receive communion.
It's not receive communion.
I want to worship the Lord.
What?
I want to worship the Lord.
I want to worship the Lord. So to her, believe it or not, the 2 hours may not be long. Because you're feeling, you're encountering Jesus Christ. The greatest thing that you can encounter is Jesus Christ. So when we talk about bringing people to the church, the people that are lost, the people that are wandering, that is the mission of this church. The mission of this church, besides taking care of the spiritual needs of the congregation and whoever might come, but for 11 and a half years, the mission of this church was feeding hungry people behind the church. That changed. The pandemic came, it stopped it, people wanted to come down to without the food anymore, and it had to end. But prophetically, the lady that really spearheaded the whole thing had told me 6 months before the pandemic that she felt it was going to come to an end. She was tired, she couldn't continue, so we knew that was on the horizon. We did not have to look far for what the mission of this church is now. The mission of this church now is to bring not only these children, but all those, especially up, we talk about this every week on Orange Champion on Friday and Saturday, the lost souls of our youth. Majority of young people in America today do not, if they believe in God, they don't have an active relationship with God. That has become the mission of this church. I've talked against the phone and the internet, but in reality, I can't do much to change that. So when there's an expression that says, the only way to beat an idea is with a better idea. I will tell you that the majority of the people that come to confession, one of the sins that they always, one way or the other, one of the sins they always are confessing has to do with lust. Whether it be pornography or other thoughts or this, but it has to do with lust. And I, for the last 2 weeks, have railed against the phone, turn off the phone. But the Lord gave me an idea the other day, just as a matter of fact, that I'd like to share with you. And I told it to every person who came up in confession, and when lust came up, I told them the same thing. Or if their mind wanders, and I strongly suggest you check this out. Google icons of Orthodox saints. Google it. You'll have that window, or the window of that. And every time you get a lustful thought or an improper thought or something that's going to take your thought, hit that window. Look at those icons. Look at those people who gave their life and enjoyed giving their life and fulfilled their life in Jesus Christ, and contemplate them. And you know what will happen? You will not be moving to the pornography sites or the other sites or the crazy news sites or whatever it might be. You'll be staying with Jesus Christ. And it goes on to say in verse 32, it was meet that they should make merry and be glad, for your brother was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found. ولكن كان ينبغي أن يفرح ونصاب لأن أخاك هذا كان ميتا فعاش وكان ضلا ووجد. Sometimes the faithful resent new people. It's never happened in this church. Never. Come to this church, people that come in, especially Gabby. Gabby, she walks out before the church service begins, she's checking out everybody. Anybody new? Anybody haven't seen before? She makes everything. What was that? She goes, she tells us what's going on. This church welcomes the newcomers. This church welcomes back those who have fallen away. We are not here to sit in judgment of anyone. We are here only to try and help people come closer to Jesus Christ. So people sometimes, not only do they resent people that come to the church, this saddens me. I know people that resent the fact of different people coming to Orlando. I grew up, as I said before, in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, we have all kinds of people. When anybody else from New York besides me from New York? Nobody? Janice? You're from New York? Long Island? I'm glad you guys realize it's part of New York. I think it's a separate entity. The point is that when you grew up, maybe in Chicago too, I don't know, maybe Detroit, but I know that we grew up in New York, and maybe I don't live in Lydia. Lydia, where did you live before here? Michigan. So if somebody said to you, what are you? You know, what would you say you were?
Syrian.
Syrian. Right? You move to Florida, somebody says, yes, what are you? American, man, what do you got? 50 years ago, when I said to them, they said, American, man. I didn't grow up with that. You were either Syrian or Greek or Russian or Romanian or Bulgarian or Spanish or Italian or Irish or Jewish, but nobody ever said to New York, American, man. They knew they were Americans, but that ethnic background. So when we have people, and what made America great? How did God bless this country? God blessed this country with people that came from all over the world who brought the best they had here, and they excelled in America. They excelled in America. They did better in America than they ever did in America. Nobody came to America with money in their pocket. I know within my own family, everyone except my stepfather, came from Syria, everyone came here for a better life. And they worked hard because they had an opportunity to grow in America. My step-grandfather came here because he came from Syria in the days of the Ottoman Turks, and they told him his name was Naim. They said, Naim, you need to get out of here, because when they conscript you into the Turkish army, you've got a better chance of getting shot in the back by a Turkish soldier than getting shot by the enemy. But other than that, nobody came to America on the grand tour of the big ocean liner and checked out America and decided, why would they stay here? They didn't speak the language. People were, they were welcome wagons when my ancestors came to this country. They didn't say, welcome to our community. But what do? We don't want anybody to come down to Florida. You know what? Florida would be nothing but a hot wasteland if people didn't come to Florida. And when you want to thank God, one of these things to thank God for, what enabled Florida to grow? This is
Air conditioning.
air conditioning. You think that, do you realize, I don't know if you guys know about Florida history, do you know why the capital is in Tallahassee? What the heck is Tallahassee? It's the midpoint between Jacksonville, what's the other town on the side? I can't remember. Near Alabama. Pensacola. It's the midpoint between Jacksonville and Pensacola. You know why? Nobody would live down here. It was too hot. Do you know what this place was? This is Orange County. Do you know what the original name of Orange County is? Mosquito County. Hello? Mosquito County? Does that tell you something? Little butterflies, little things that bite. When I hear that this group or that group or that group are coming to Orlando, I have one thought. Something God. Will they come to St. George? St. George is stronger and better because of the different people that come to it. If only one background came to this church, it would definitely be poorer. So we have many people in our community that are dead spiritually. We want to make them alive. How to make them alive? I know it takes us 2 hours. It's not something that we can do. Okay? It takes time. Because as Gabrielle and Mercia and Jean and others will tell you, we feel